if you're really trying to be in this self-awareness journey, just try and be intentional with these activities and stop being in denial. Be open to self-improvement. Don't be in denial, because if you're in denial, you will know by the way you're disturbing, or whatever you're doing or your actions are not sitting right with so many people, or they're infringing people's rights or privileges. But deep within, you just know that, but you don't want to change. Welcome back to the Balance It podcast. This is a platform where we have all conversations about wellness, purpose, personal development, and lifestyle in general.
And in today's episode, this is the end month. So if it is the end month, you definitely know this is our wrap segment. In the wrap segment, we basically have questions and we answer them. And this is in relation to all the conversations that we've been having, first from our guests to our own conversations that we have been having here throughout the month. And these are just some of the questions that we got from our social media platforms, and also what we thought that we did not cover in the episodes. I am your host, I am Eda Onyoni.
And I am Gertrude Nasiki.
So definitely Gertrude, as you know,
yes,
and just to our visitors as well. So how we do it, we have some questions here and we pick them randomly. We read out the question, we explain and elaborate in case there is need for, and then we answer them according to our best knowledge.
Yes.
And if you have not also watched our previous episodes for the month, ensure you go back, watch them, because that is how you get to understand where we are coming from, because we definitely will reference what we had said in those specific episodes.
Yes.
Here you go.
Okay. So, can fear strengthen or weaken emotional bonds with friends?
Yes. Yes, fear can strengthen or weaken emotional bonds with friends. Because if I'm looking at it from a perspective of fear in terms of how I express myself, maybe to you as a friend, yes, or fear of expressing how I feel. If I feel fearful to express myself, then to you as a friend, then I don't think that is friendship. Then what we are just maybe acquaintances, or we are actually not friends, because as friends I should be able to express myself in an environment that I feel is in a space that I feel safe to have these conversations and actually express myself. So I honestly feel, yes, fear can affect the friendships.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't agree less. Yes, I would say fear, yes, can affect the friendship. I would say it can probably strengthen it in a way that when someone is fearful and they know you as their friend, they might be in a position maybe to be vulnerable with you, to tell you their fears. If it's a fear of starting a business or something they're going through, they might actually decide to be vulnerable. And I believe when they're this vulnerable, it's kind of builds or strengthens that bond, because by the time you're being open literally to someone or to a friend, it means you really trust them that much to be open with them. But it also can weaken these bonds. Just borrowing from what you've said, if someone is fearful of expressing the way they feel, this trickles down to communication. This means they're not going to properly communicate how they feel or properly communicate what they want in that friendship. And them thinking that, assuming that you actually understand or know what they want in that friendship, then it might weaken the bond because you might keep doing things that are not in line with what they want. But since they're not communicating, they might start drawing away or thinking that probably this is not my friend. And now, from this essence, you find like you guys are now drifting apart. So, yes, it can do both of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I agree as well. So let me click on the second one.
Mm.
So the question is,
Mm.
how does fear of vulnerability
Mhm.
affect the depth of our friendships?
I would say, just from the point I've said, when there's vulnerability, especially with a friend or with someone you know, it means there's a high level of trust.
Yes.
There's a high level of trust and there's a high level of bond between the two of you or the group of friends we are talking about. But if someone really fears being vulnerable, it means probably they've not gotten to that deep level of trust with these specific people in this environment that he or she considers as friends, that would allow them to easily express their vulnerability or them just not being okay with the situation. But in another way, I would also say sometimes also vulnerability does not mean that someone does not consider you as a good friend. Sometimes it's someone's personality. They're not just too open or they're not okay with being vulnerable with someone or even everyone. They have a way in which they deal with their emotions or they deal with their situations. So sometimes also just understanding that it's someone's personality also might help in not considering that since this person is fearful of being vulnerable, then probably our bond should break or should be diluted. Yes.
Yes, I totally agree on that part of the fact that if you're not being vulnerable to me, it does not mean that now you stop being my friend. And in our friendship episode, we also talked about seasonal friends. And also building this trust takes time.
Yes.
You can't just wake up and now because we are classmates or now because we have met the other day, then now you are my friend.
Yeah, true.
So this trust also comes naturally or like the friendship just takes its like we just let the nature take care of everything. But often I have come to realize that even these people who actually their personality they are not used to expressing themselves, there are some spaces they're actually comfortable to express themselves. That is why I tap into that point of that it's not that they are not your friends, but it's just them. And when it comes to now the seasonal friendships, we might be together in a space and we are friends, we do things together, but I don't have to share with you everything. And also being able to be vulnerable with somebody requires a lot of strength to even do that, and it requires a lot of trust to do that because you are opening up yourself to people that you actually don't know, but you connote them as friends, so you don't know what will happen. It is okay to be vulnerable if you are comfortable to be vulnerable, and if maybe you're in a situation where you try to be vulnerable and the other person is not responding according to how you would want them to, it's just having that grace that it's okay that they are not vulnerable as well, because I understand that is one of the psychological trick that people use, that if I want you to be vulnerable, so now I start by being vulnerable to just induce that vulnerability side of you. So that is what some other people do. But if that strategy is not working, it's just understanding that maybe we are not yet at that level. Maybe we need to build this friendship more, or maybe it is just their personality, and just being comfortable in that element, such that it does not affect other areas of your lives or as friends. Because now you might hear other people talk about, maybe, my friend told me this, but your friend is actually not telling you those things. So it's like you start questioning, is this really what I want from my friendship with this person, or do I feel like I am actually a friend with this person, or how do I see myself in this friendship? So I think it boils down to understanding the person that you are with, like your friends that you are in friendships with, and knowing our personalities. And I don't think you can lie so much if we are friends for a very long time without the other person acknowledging. But I honestly feel like there are some other things that people should just be open to talk about. And I understand there are cultural differences, but there are some pains that are like universal pain. Maybe like losing somebody. You might tell me you have lost somebody, but you're not okay with, maybe you're not okay with having so many people in your space. And it's okay to communicate those boundaries, because now you see, if you don't communicate those boundaries, and then maybe in my culture we are used to showing up for people when now we have such occurrences, then it now becomes a problem. Actually, you actually didn't listen to me, but it's because you actually didn't communicate your boundaries. So I think it boils down to the communication aspect of just knowing what exactly we want for ourselves and communicating it.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, today there are no big ones.
You just reminded me.
So, how does emotional intelligence impact the quality of our friendships?
In the emotional intelligence video, we talked a lot about how they actually impact every element of our friendships. And I think let's just continue reiterating what we've been saying over and over again. Maybe just to put it out there clear that we all came to an agreement that emotional intelligence is being able to manage both my emotions and people who are around me emotions. So how they impact our friendships is, I believe we need to know how to actually, first of all, it begins with ourselves. We need to know ourselves and know how we can regulate our emotions, and so that we can be able to build better relationships. Otherwise, if we don't know if we don't know ourselves, we don't know how to manage our emotions, then definitely when it comes to now other people, then it will be a bit difficult for us to even manage the emotions, because we don't know how to manage our emotions. So on that note, emotional intelligence impacts our friendships, because it helps us know how to manage the other people's way of know how to manage the other people's emotions, and know how to react to their emotions based on the different contexts.
I wouldn't even add anything more. I would just say that's very true. It's really strengthens the bond, and just brings an aspect of trust building within the friendship or within the relationship, because due to emotional intelligence you'd find that these friends are now being empathetic towards each other, or also brings a sense of respect towards each other. And with all this, you just find that the bond is being strengthened more, as compared to friendships whereby most people are not emotionally intelligent, or maybe they don't even have that small level of emotional intelligence. Then you just find there is no trust, you find there is too much blame games, you find there's no empathy, yes. So with emotional intelligence, it actually just builds and strengthens the bond. Yes.
But do you think
Mhm.
we can be like we can be friends?
Mhm.
Maybe one person is emotionally intelligent and the other person is not. So can the two coexist?
I feel like the two can coexist, but if this keeps going on for a long time, one gets the emotional burnout.
Now, if you are the emotionally intelligent one,
yeah, you get.
but using your emotional intelligence,
No, it just goes back to the aspect of environment. You will keep trying. You will find after a while you no longer have the strength to be emotionally intelligent. It's either you're now going to start adopting this other person's behaviors or this other person's way of reacting to situations if they're actually not changing. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation whereby you see something and react to something in a particular way. And then maybe it's even the lights. Maybe I tell you, and would you please switch? I just found you forgot maybe to switch on the light, to switch off the lights. And I'm like, and would you just switch off the lights? Would you be switching off the lights? You'll find after a while, maybe initially I would just say it or I ignore it. After a while, you realize you're actually doing the same thing you're really telling the other person not to do. I feel like it comes subconsciously, or I don't know how it happens, but you find that the more you're being in that environment and the more you keep repeating or keep feeding, we just said how our minds feed. Like it gains from visuals, it gains from what we hear, from what we speak or what people are speaking to us. So you find that in this environment, that is what your mind keeps getting exposed to. And with time, yes, you can coexist, but if the other party is also not trying to be emotionally intelligent, you'll find yourself having emotional burnout, you being tired to now being the bigger person in the picture, or now you've now adopted the other person's behavior or the other person's way of reaction, and you're like, this thing never used to bother me. Why am I shouting over something so small? Or why am I getting angry over something so small that it never used to affect me? It's all about the environment you're in.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I agree. All right, let's see what's next. What do we have here? How do cultural factors influence our understanding and expression of emotions in friendships?
Hey, that's long. How cultural factors
Influence
affect
our understanding and expression of emotions in friendships.
I would say maybe one, it's through cultures or societal expectations, we might, I would just say, we might be forced to stay in friendships that are actually no longer serving us just for the sake of what the standard norm is or what every other person is doing around. So it's like, oh, Eda was my friend, but she did something not good. But oh no, she's your friend, she's still your friend. The culture maybe says you guys should reconcile or something. I don't want to reconcile with you. But just because the culture has given me that understanding of maybe all friends should not break up, like there's nothing like a friend breakup or some such like thing, you end up now just staying in a situation that you literally don't like simply because that is the understanding that has been passed to you within that specific culture.
Yeah, yes, it just reminded me, like when we were in high school, there was this fear of speaking against what the teacher says. Or okay, this is different and this is relative for different people because we all went to different schools. But there was this culture where you can't tell the teacher no, that whatever that you are saying is not correct. So you have to buy the idea that whatever that the teacher has said that is like the correct truth. So there is this aspect of not expressing how you feel. So you get that at the end of the day, you are just complaining to your friends, but your friends, you and your friends, you are in the same level. So there is nothing you can do either way. So there is no gain that you are getting. So it's just ranting and you feel good after ranting, and then after that it's like a whole cycle. And over time, it came, I feel like that thing now led me to get to a point where I don't even want to speak or express my opinion because I am used to this way of just taking in, and not saying what I think. But now it got to a point where you are actually now not even thinking so much because you are used to just taking in. And it got to a point now you have to, when you are now placed in a position now, let me say here, where you need to express yourself, and you can actually see people expressing themselves, even if it is the smallest, tiniest little thing, like telling the lecturer to switch on the air conditioner, just stopping the class to tell the lecturer to switch on the air conditioner. It is, and people actually do that. Now coming to this culture where that one is acceptable, it's like you have to unlearn this culture thing that has been input in you and now put in the new that you need to do, because you need to do that for you to actually survive. You need to do that because if you actually don't tell the lecturer to switch off that air conditioner, then they won't, and you're the one who is going to suffer. So it's a matter of unlearning those cultural influences that have been put in our minds. And I think for me, I managed through it by just pushing myself, but every time that now I had to like express myself, there was that fear that came in. But every time, whatever that kept me going was there is Mel Robbins. I've kept on talking about Mel Robbins, and he has this 5-second rule where she keeps on saying that in case there is some fear cropping up, you need to use the 5-second rule. You just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and do it. So because it's like you're speaking to your mind already, like you don't have an option out of this. So you do it. So bringing that back to our question, over time it was I just want to take in, it built my listening skills. That is on the positive, but what detriments they did to do to me, now I can question everything, but I had to get to a level where I have to continue learning a lot of things so that I can be able to have opinions on other aspects. And that one I feel like has evolved to now a point where I can actually now express myself as I can right now. But such small matters that we used to do in school that didn't look as big, they came into our adult friendships, and now even expressing emotions to friends was even a problem, because that is not what you are used to. It's like you're learning something new, and as an adult, if you're not intentional with learning something new, then definitely you will not learn it, because our minds are just wired to the familiarity. We need the familiar. But the culture had its influence, but because I now know the importance and I value the importance of friendship, now I'm at a point where I'm learning these cultural beliefs that are not serving me, and learning new beliefs that are actually serving me where I am at right now. And I can say that has been helped by now interacting with other different people who have managed through, or just seeing other friendships who have evolved through, not copying whatever they did or whatever they do, but because just seeing and deciding what works for me and implement that in my life.
Wow.
Yep.
Almost there, almost there. So, what role does self awareness play in fostering emotional intelligence?
Self-awareness. Self-awareness is all about yourself as an individual. So what role does it play in fostering
Emotional intelligence.
emotional intelligence? Okay, I feel like actually one of the elements of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. So it means that there is a strong relationship between self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So knowing yourself, knowing how I react to circumstances, knowing my strengths, knowing my weaknesses, helps me as an individual, as Eda, to know that this no, that design is not my strength. Design is Gertrude's strength. So let me talk to Gertrude to help me in design. Or this specific thing is not my path. So let me move from that specific path and move to a different path that I have that is my strength. And also knowing that Gertrude has told me I don't need to do things this way. It is from a point of yes, things are actually not. It's from a point of her opinion of whatever things need to be done, and me deciding whether to take that path that she has told me or not. Or does she make sense and does it make sense to me, and deciding which path to take? Otherwise, without that self-awareness, then I can just be, okay, you have said that I need to do this. Then I can just be following over without even thinking more. What are the repercussions? So I strongly believe there is a relationship between self-awareness and emotional intelligence, because it guides our paths and it makes life even easier to even deal with people, and even easier for to be dealt with as an individual, as a human being in general.
Yeah, that's very true. And just to add on it, I would say also self awareness, since it helps us to understand our emotions. Maybe this kind of person, and this is how I react to certain situations. These are my triggers for maybe anger, for maybe excitement, and just knowing the preventive measures that you can take to ensure that you do not like derail from this path, or just to ensure that you do not affect people with how you react to this situation is also very good to fostering emotional intelligence. And also just knowing that maybe if Ed as my friend reacts this way to these emotions, or doesn't like it when I tell them this and this and this, understanding that and also being empathetic fosters emotional intelligence, and this can only be done if you're actually on this journey to self-awareness.
Yes, and just to add as well, we had talked about the personality tests. That is like the best way of starting this personality, starting this self-awareness journey, because somebody is at home thinking, yes, I really want to be emotionally intelligent, but how can I start to be self-aware? I really want to know myself. I know I am empathetic, I know I listen to people, but who am I really? Who am I really? Yes, we talked about the personality test, and I don't know if you have anything else that can help somebody who is starting their journey on self-awareness.
I think just knowing your triggers. I feel like most of this self-awareness, even before you go to that personality test, there are things that you just normally do that you feel like you literally know yourself, but you're just trying to be in denial. They're just even bad habits that deep within you just know you probably are this and this way, but you're just really trying to be in denial. You're bringing in the aspect of perfectionism. No one is perfect, honestly. No one is perfect, and I feel like if you're really trying to be in this self-awareness journey, just try and be intentional with these activities and stop being in denial. Be open to self improvement. Don't be in denial, because if you're in denial, you will know by the way you're disturbing, or whatever you're doing or your actions are not sitting right with so many people, or they're infringing people's rights or privileges. But deep within, you just know that, but you don't want to change, or you just have this ego of being perfect, that would really be an obstacle to it. So I would just advise, if you're in this trying to be in this journey, even before going to that those tests, yeah, because those tests just confirm your personality, or they just give a name to that personality. But you as a person, deep within, you just know how you normally react to situations, and deep within, you just normally know which situations are probably good and which actions are maybe bad, or people are just maybe being unfair to you. Do you understand? Yes. So try and be intentional. Try and just be intentional with trying to identify those aspects if you're in your journey to self-awareness. And then you can start from there.
Yeah. And also then that also brings us to the point of self-reflection, because once you have identified them, it's a matter of going back to yourself as an individual, asking yourself, why did I feel this way when Gertrude talked to me this way? Is it because I like to be talked to this way, or it is because of I didn't like it when my mother used to talk to me this way? Like, you can get that it is like there are so many underlying matters, so many underlying issues to how you react to things than just how Gertrude talks to you. It's actually never on whatever that we are talking here. It's mostly underlying. And now when you're doing now that self-reflection, especially after writing down your emotions on how you felt during maybe the day, how things were, you get to a point you realize that there is a specific pattern. And now this pattern, you can now ascertain that actually I don't like to be talked to this way. So let me create my boundary with these people that I have noticed this pattern with. Because now if we continue, you realize today I didn't feel good when you talked to me this way. Tomorrow I didn't feel good. Then you are not, there is no progress. You just feel, and we can't be working with emotions.
Yeah, true.
So the self-reflection is very important, and actually asking yourself those hard questions. Why am I feeling this way? Why do I do things this way? Why do I, like, asking those why questions helps you also in the self-awareness journey. Yeah. And so on to the final one.
Wow. I am happy.
And it is actually the shortest one.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very direct. Can empathy be taught?
Yes, I think empathy can be taught. I think empathy can be taught, both expressly and by implication. I would say it can be taught expressly by taking these self-development courses. Maybe there's a workshop on self-awareness. You'd find empathy is among the things that probably would be discussed. Or some self-development workshop, you'd find empathy. Empathy is something that is really being talked about nowadays a lot. And another thing, also by reading books or listening to videos that are really trying to embody these empathetic people. And I would say this only comes about when you already have a trigger or an urge to learn why you need to be empathetic. Because I'm not going to search for these expressive ways of learning how to be empathetic if there's no reason for me to be empathetic, honestly. So this comes in when you already have an urge to actually learn to be empathetic. And then when you're feeding yourself with this, there is need that you will try to start practicing it. So maybe today they're saying, try and be slow to reacting and just try to think about the other person's points or the other person's shoe where they're standing. And then you start practicing, and slowly by slowly, with consistency, maybe you find out that you've actually mastered the art of empathy. And I would say it can be taught by implied ways. Maybe when you're in an environment where people are empathetic, so you just maybe the people surrounding you are these people who are very empathetic. These people who really try to see the other side of the apple first before making judgments or before making decisions or reacting to a particular situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if this is the kind of environment that you're surrounding yourself with, and you as a person, you're the only one who is not empathetic and know you need to be empathetic, I feel like you're just going to have the inner desire to actually not merge into that environment because everyone around is being empathetic, and you observing how other people are reacting to situations and they're being empathetic towards others, and the feeling and satisfaction they derive from actually expressing gratitude or just being empathetic towards each other would really just make you learn and also try to walk into these steps and follow through with whatever these people are doing in a bid to try and get that satisfaction that they're getting. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100% with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, empathy can be taught both in both aspects that you have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because these are more social topics,
Mm-hmm.
they are easily and highly advanced or nurtured when we are in those social spaces instead of going to a classroom to sit. Yes, that is another way that you can be able to learn empathy, because you get to understand the theory and maybe why you behave the way you behave and how you can behave in a better way. But now seeing other people do it, it stamps into whatever that you're actually supposed to do. And with time, just the same way you said with the environments, being in those specific environments, you just gravitate towards being like the other person. Just like this, the way they normally say that you're an average of the 5 people that you are around with. So it's just the same way. So if you want to build empathy, just try to look for those people that motivate you to even the people that actually brought this idea in your mind. Those are the people that you need to mostly gravitate towards. And I feel like we need to be an empathetic nation.
We do
because people are actually going through a lot, and we need to be more conscious of other people's emotions and understanding why they do things the way they do things the way they do them, but also taking note that so that you don't get taken advantage of, knowing how to actually be empathetic and not too empathetic, or also knowing
not sympathize.
Yeah, and knowing when now that empathy needs to be brought straightforward or taken back a bit, because some people can actually take it to their advantage and use you instead of now using actually your empathy to their advantage.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
And we've come to the end of our game.
Yes.
Make sure next month we're also going to do another set of games. Make sure that you always go through the episodes, and if you have questions or comments, you can just directly DM us from different social media pages, or even you can leave a comment just to enable us to tackle it at the end of the month.
Yes, and definitely don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with friends, and also click on that notification bell so that anytime that we upload an episode, you get to be the first person to watch it. And until next time,
bye.